Next game on our list, Aaron. Let's keep it rolling here. Oh man, we're keeping it rolling with shit after shit after shit. The Panthers defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 21-3 at home. The Buccaneers continue to struggle after I can basically have the same narrative and the same script that I wrote for the Packers for the Bucs here. After losing to the Steelers last week, they now come back and lose. No, wait, they didn't play the Steelers last week. I don't know why I keep saying that. They played the Saints last week. They lost to the
What?
Did they lose to the Saints last week? They won
They
the
played the
Saints.
Steelers.
Did they play which game was this? Am I
Oh my
forgetting
God.
something?
They lost
What's
to
my
the Steelers
timeline?
last week.
Okay, so I was right.
Can you put us up on the screen? We done stared at this recap enough.
Well, I got to reset now so you can clip this properly. The Carolina Panthers defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 21-3. Another struggling game for the Bucs. They back-to-back weeks now of tough losses. Last week against the Steelers, this week against the Panthers. Not good losses for the Bucs. Aaron, what's going on?
Well, what's going on is I don't clip based on what you say. I clip based on where you first put up that graphic. So I'm not even listening to you at this point. So I'm just going to clip where you first put up that graphic, and then you just wasted 25 seconds of nothing to redo it.
The math checks out.
Anyways, yeah, they got beat. This was perplexing. I didn't think that Carolina had much of an opportunity or a chance really to win this game. And the things that were alarming were the 173 yards allowed on the ground. It's not known for Tampa Bay. They've been a pretty good run defense, and I'm not trying to compare this to Green Bay in a way like you did, but they're soft up the middle. They are on both offensively and defensively. They're just soft up the middle. They don't have a whole lot of big guys, and the loss of guys like Ndamukong Suh and Jason Pierre-Paul and some guys that maybe they took for granted because they were older veterans, as the lawnmower drives right by my apartment. They took them for granted, and now they're kind of missing them. So this was I don't know. This game could have been different. I'll just say this. That catch that was dropped should have been caught by Mike Evans at the very beginning of the game. Those are the type of plays that it spirals. It's like a microcosm of everything that your team is going through in the season. If Mike Evans catches that ball, goes in for 6, it's now 7-0 Tampa Bay. That whole game might be different, right? Momentum is a real thing in the NFL. How you feel about yourself matters. And I truly believe that if Mike Evans catches that ball, goes in the end zone, Tampa Bay doesn't lose this game. Their offense clicks. But when you have stuff like that happen, it just was like an indicator, like, oh, this is the kind of day we're going to have. It's going to all fall apart. And it did. And so they just gotta find their way, man. I think they're still a good enough team. They just got to find their way. It's unfortunate that they're going through this, but they have some issues, obviously, with injuries. But I keep telling people it's not an excuse. Like, they are too good of a team, or at least have too much talent to fall into that trap. And now you look at where they go from here, and they go Baltimore and the Rams. Not easy games. Like, they've lost 4 or 5 now. And it's very concerning. I know they lose to the Packers and the Chiefs, but the Steelers, the Panthers, maybe they could have lost that Falcons game if it wasn't for a roughing the passer. And now you go play the Rams, Seahawks, and Ravens. It could get darker before it gets better if you're Tampa. Their schedule is not easy. They play a first-place schedule, so they got to get things going, and they got to get things going in a hurry.
It's similar to the situation with the Packers. They do have that first-place schedule, and if you're struggling, you are going to fall behind because you're not getting the benefit of having those easy games, those bounce-back games. And even in the bounce-back games, we're considering against teams like the Panthers and the Steelers, they're not bouncing back. Tom Brady hasn't missed the playoffs since 2002. It's the only time he missed the playoffs. Not to say that they're going to miss it this year because, again, if they're in the NFC South, it's wide open. They still have a very good shot at winning that. But it's definitely been a struggle for this team. This is a team that went 2 for 12 on 3rd down, 1 for 3 on 4th down. They're not converting. They're not getting the job done. It's just weird to see a Tom Brady-led offense only scoring 3 points. And give credit to the Carolina Panthers defense. They were making plays. They didn't force any big overs on Tom Brady, but they were just making plays when they needed to, and keeping the GOAT from scoring more than 3 points is an impressive feat. But this is a lot more about the Bucs just not having it. I
got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Kansas City started 3-4 last year. And I never wavered. Like we talked about it. I always felt like they were going to get things right. At which team do you think, either one, you have 3-4, you have the 3-4 Packers now and the 3-4 Bucs. Which team is more likely to pull off the Kansas City run where you go out and you win, your next 9 games?
That's the thing, though. That's the thing, though. You talk about that, and I think I brought this up on Thursday's show, or when we were previewing this game. I said that this, or previewing the Packers game. I brought that up that last year I had that doubt in the Chiefs, but they were winning games. They were finding ways to win games. Yeah, but they were finding ways to win games, but they had a bad loss here and there, but they were competitive all the way through, and they weren't playing terrible. They just weren't fine.
Okay. So I had to look back at this because I didn't really remember. They were close against Baltimore. They lost 27-3 to the Titans, which made them 3-4. That was a game. They lost 27-3, and that's when the wheels fell off, and everybody said, "Oh my God, Kansas City."
Well, that's the thing. The wheels fell off when they lost to the Titans, who were playing. I know that I don't want to say the Titans were that good because I don't want to go back on what I said, because I didn't think the Titans were that good last year. They still lost to a playoff team. We're not talking about the Panthers in the same light as we're talking about the Titans of last year. We're not talking about the Steelers in the same light that we talked about the Titans last year. And I'm not to go back to your question here. The only thing that I can think of here is what you said earlier on in the show, is that the Buccaneers have the more clear route to making the playoffs because they have a division where it's the Saints struggling, it's the Panthers where they are, it's the Falcons who are where they are. It's just games that, or it's just a division with other teams that you should be able to win this division. It's wide open. It is yours.
So are you basically, so you don't think either one of these teams can go on a run? Because the Packers haven't lost. I would say that the Packers, outside of the Commanders' loss, they've lost to teams that we think suck, or we assumed suck, in the Giants and the Jets, and now that team's 5-2 and 6-1.
Well, that's where it's huge, because the Packers' losses now are starting to look much better, because, like you said, I mean, they lost to the Jets, they lost to the Giants, who are two teams and the Vikings. Those are 3 teams currently in playoff spots right now. So, like, their losses aren't that bad, but when you look at what the Bucs have lost, who the Bucs have lost to, they've lost to the Steelers and the Panthers, and those are 2 teams that no one's even considering at all for the playoffs. Like, that's not even close to being playoff teams. So
answer my question: Are you 2 questions now? Are you more concerned about the Bucs or the Packers? Who the Packers beat the Bucs? Remember that. Do either one of these teams have a chance to go on a KC-like run, and then at the end of the season, we're like, why did we doubt them? Like, we should have known better. 2 teams that have been in the playoffs for the last 4 years, championship games.
I don't see. I'll look at. I brought up the Packers schedule as well. I'll pull that up in a second. But, like, looking at this, I don't see a run on their schedule. I like against Baltimore. I don't have them winning. I like when we predict that game this week. I don't think I have them winning that.
So it shocks you if Thursday Tampa Bay is home against Baltimore and wins?
No, it wouldn't.
And then they beat the Rams, and then they beat the Seahawks. Then they go on a bye week.
That's the thing here. That's the biggest thing. When you look at those games, it's not shocking if they win those games. I'm just saying, not after the way we've seen the past few games from these teams. I'm not picking them to win these games. And when you talk about your question of whether or not they can go on a run, I can't say that they can, because is that week 12? Is that when Deshaun Watson's back, week 12 against Cleveland? Is Watson back week 12, or is he back the next week?
13, I think.
So maybe your run is Seattle and Cleveland, those 2 games. Maybe Seattle, Cleveland, New Orleans. That's your run. But then I can't see them beating San Francisco on the road. I don't think they beat Cincinnati. I think Arizona.
So I guess this is what I'm saying is, so then you're out on Tampa Bay. Like you like.
Well, I think so. What are they now? So they're 3-4 right now.
3-4.
A loss to Baltimore, 3-6. A loss to Los Angeles, 3-7.
You just
a
skipped
win
the
against
whole last number.
Huh?
You skipped the whole number.
Did I?
Yeah.
What,
3-5, 3-6. After
3-5, 3-6, 4-6, 5-6. We'll say 6-6, 6-7, 6-8, 6-9, 7-9, 8-9.
You're out on the Buccaneers.
I think that I'm not saying they could make the playoffs at 8-9. They could win this division at 8-9.
You're out on the Buccaneers. They're not making the playoffs at 8-9.
They can't win the division at 8-9.
You're out on if they win that division.
I'm out on the Bucs in terms of like you said in the beginning of the show. I'm out on the Bucs winning a playoff game.
So
I mean, it's just different for Tom Brady in the playoffs.
So I guess what I'm saying is are we doing this too soon for these teams? Because they're not playing well, and we did this last year. And I'll include myself in this, but
you know what?
We did it last year.
You know what?
And we
flip it. Are we out on these teams? Are we doing this too early? You're the analyst. You're supposed to answer these questions. I can't answer these questions.
I think we might be doing it too early. And for them, I came on here and we started the show with saying, like, after 7 weeks, we know what these teams are. But I think for teams like Green Bay and for Tampa Bay, with the leadership that they have at quarterback, we have to say we're out. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like for you, you're like, I'm not picking them against Baltimore. Well, I don't know that I'm not picking them against Baltimore. Baltimore didn't look great against Cleveland. They won, but they didn't look great. Now they got to go on the road in a short week and play Tampa.
So that's 9-8. That would be 9-8 because I mean.
But then the next game they're playing the Rams. Are you really that sold on the Rams?
No. God damn it.
Can Tampa Bay go win 7 in a row and would it shock you?
No.
No, it wouldn't shock you. That's what I'm saying. Like, can they do it? Yes. Are they is a different question. I think it's just maybe we need to pump the brakes on saying we're just out on Green Bay and Tampa Bay. And I'm including myself because I came on the show by starting by almost saying that. And I keep thinking about to last year's Chiefs and I was like, how bad were they? And yes, you're right. Most of their losses came to better teams. They were losing to teams like Baltimore and Buffalo and Tennessee, but they also lost to the Chargers last year, who didn't make the playoffs.
I think the Chargers were a borderline playoff team last year. I don't want to say that was a.
Oh, now we're giving credit to borderline playoff teams.
I give that losses to those teams more credit than losses to Carolina and Atlanta. Or Carolina and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh was the playoff team last year. They might get there this year. Who knows?
You're right. Okay, so from the Bucs side, they lose this game. Tom Brady has not lost 4 out of 5 games. It's the second time in Tom Brady's career he's lost 4 out of 5 games in any span of that 5 starts. PJ Walker on the other side of this, 16 of 22, 170 yards or 177 yards with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. DJ Moore, thank you for going off on my bench this week in fantasy. Brian Burns notched a sack as well. Panthers, I mean, this was a good game for the Panthers. Not many takeaways from them, right? Not many takeaways.
Their defense has always been good. I've been saying that since last year. That's why I said they could be a playoff team with Baker Mayfield if he did this job, and he just sucked and he couldn't. So they get a quarterback, they'll be okay.